Welcome to another episode of the EMS Wizard podcast. We have a great episode put together for you.
Take it all, Mark. I honestly, you just sound like you are not with it this episode. I mean, I don't know that you're ever with it, to be honest with you. That's part of the reason why you'll never ever get through introducing to everybody is because you don't come with the
I was at least here. You weren't here last
Mm.
time. I got through a whole introduction and no interruption. It was so nice. It was so quiet. We got so much
It threw me
accomplished.
off.
I don't think
I was
so.
like, "Where's John? John's not with us."
Oh, wait, I didn't listen to that episode. I probably going to be the least watched or least listened to downloaded episode ever.
Pretty sure it's trending right now, but whatever.
It's
He's probably still whining.
Well,
on TikTok. It's trending.
Well, I'll tell you, the reason
Hashtag.
why I couldn't be here in the last episode is because I was busy training. Is what I was doing. Is I was running, so I prepared to run my 10
Training
mile.
what?
Training what? For Dallas or something? Yes, I went there. I went straight there. Yes, I did. I went straight there. Yes.
Doing push-ups daily, running my mile to work up so I can run my 10-mile marathon, unithon, whatever
Pushing.
you call it, thons.
You know,
Pushing up fried chicken into your mouth. That's what you're pushing up.
Well,
It's a
I'm
good
glad
thing
we
I don't have
have
a
two
Bojangles
subject matter
stuff.
experts right here to call BS on that because they probably know better already.
What is he talking about? I was at the gym. I'm the one that found them. I said, hey, why don't y'all come on our podcast and talk about all this fitness and stuff? Why don't you do that? I was down there working out, doing the stuff in the whatever it is they do.
The only fitness you doing is fitness cheeseburger with the egg on top of it in your mouth. That's the fitness that's happening with John C. Wilson.
That sounds delicious.
Wow.
So let's introduce our guests. And Alan and Caleb, welcome to the EMS Wizard podcast. Alan, we'll let you go first. Introduce yourself, and then Caleb.
Oh, hey guys, you guys are great. I just love the chemistry here. My name's Alan Brook. I am the program director for a program here at the community college in southeastern North Carolina. Before that, I worked as a paramedic for probably about 20 years or so before that. Because a field training officer, lieutenant, special operations paramedic. And then I just kind of fell in love with training. Started doing all that until I decided to get out of the game and start doing education full time. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
You fell in love with trains or training? There's a big difference.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, I do love trains. They're great. Yeah, but no training.
Oh, okay. My bad.
Okay. But yeah, after that, just kind of been keeping my head down doing that kind of stuff. But in the midst of all the chaos that was EMS careers and things like that, and fitness, I kind of started picking up fitness again and getting more back into it and trying to kind of get my mind right, get my body right to kind of last me through till the end of getting off the truck. And that's kind of where I'm at now, just kind of burying myself into fitness and all things. So, but yeah, a little bit about me.
Yeah, and I am Caleb McMillan. I do medical sales here in Eastern North Carolina. I sit in the car, unfortunately, about 700-800 miles a week. So not necessarily the best on your body, but I started kind of investing in my health about 4 months after I started this position 2 years ago. Joined a gym here in Eastern North Carolina, kind of jumped right on in and found that I was kind of in the norm that we so are used to. I was the person that went to Bojangles in the morning, and then Bojangles, it was time to eat again at lunch, and I was there again. I got used to doing that every day. It was like, man, I think I was at Bojangles more than I was at my actual apartment. But it just was normal. So it didn't feel wrong. And my body was used to it. Not saying it was like my body rejected it at the time, but now, of course, if I'd done that, it would probably reject it. But over time, I kind of created a healthy lifestyle for myself, joined the gym, and started that health and fitness journey back. And then I kind of jumped into the nutrition aspect after a year of working out. And now it was like a night and day difference. And to be honest, even now, if I go and eat fast food, which I do sometimes, it's not like I'm 100% perfect. And when I am on the go, I eat fast food, and it's like my body tells me immediately, like, whoa, that was maybe not the best for you at the moment. But overall, kind of create this healthy journey for myself. I did obtain my bachelor's degree in biology, and then I have a healthcare administration degree as well. But besides the point, I tell people the one tip that kind of hit me was when my friend asked me, was I invested in my health? So that kind of opened my eyes. And I guess one of the questions for everybody here or everybody listening is, are you investing in your health?
I invested in mine today with a Bowberry biscuit.
I was going to say everything you said sounds delicious. I don't know that I'm invested in biscuits. Maybe that's where we need incentive. How does one make it there? As all of us here have worked as paramedics before we ended up taking chairs inside of offices and stuff. And I don't know if that made our diet any better or worse, but we certainly.
Yeah. Well, I think I actually just seen this today, but there's no challenge or change there's no change until there's a challenge, right? So until you start challenging yourself, that's when change will happen. I was the person, I grew up here in Eastern North Carolina. I ate fried food every day. Again, it was something I was used to, right? So when I started looking at new ways, new changes that could be made, I kind of just asked around, hey, what do you do that's different? Or how did you get to the point that you're at? And I think one of the biggest things I've done, of course, you can get nitpicky and look at macros, calories, or whatever. But I think one of the biggest things is I would set various minimal goals throughout the day or throughout the week. Okay, today I'm not going to eat Bojangles, even if it's one day a week. It's like, okay, I can find another alternative route that's not Bojangles or not fast food where I can make sure I'm still eating. It might not be the best or might not be the healthiest, but that was one simple thing I've done. Actually, when I started, one of the biggest things that helped me, I was not a breakfast person. I woke up, went straight to work, didn't really eat breakfast, drink coffee, or any of that. But one of the biggest things I started doing was eating breakfast every day. So it was like every day I checked off a box that was like a healthy breakfast. Even though if I went to Bojangles that afternoon or I didn't eat the best in the afternoon, it still made me feel good because it was like I checked off a minimal box that helped me out through along the day. And then over time, it kind of just progressed from a healthy breakfast to a healthy lunch, healthy snack, and kind of just throughout the day just went along with that path. And now it's from if I eat out 2 times a week, it's like, oh man, my body feels that. So over time, you kind of just make those progressions and changes. And I think just starting small can be a big challenge and show a big change.
That's a lot to unpack. And to, Caleb, hearing from you and what you're doing isn't too dissimilar from what we do in EMS. We're in and out of the truck. We're making sales calls, aka picking patients up, sometimes physically. And so what I've heard a lot of things, there that what is a good first step, or what? I mean, we were talking offline, but before we even started, and you and Alan do some stuff. Is it having that best friend to help you, that accountability? Is it what was that good first step for you that made you say, hey, because this is, if I'm looking at this is pretty intimidating, but knowing I've got a best friend with me or something like that, what's a good starting point?
Yeah, so definitely the community aspect, having somebody like Alan beside you. And we don't even kind of like question each other as in a sense to kind of harp on each other, but we question each other. Well, what did you eat today? Or just trying to like have a conversation, a regular conversation. And then it turns out to be, oh, well, I did go to Bojangles. And then now it's like, oh, well, maybe tomorrow don't do that. Or let's look at another way. So having that accountability person is big. And even for me, I did start out with like a nutritionist, so to speak. So that did help too. Now, again, that's kind of extreme, and some people can't afford that, which is, it got to the point where I couldn't afford it myself either. after time went on. So I totally understand that. But I think one of the biggest things is having somebody to kind of hold your hand right away. Let's go take this journey. Let's see what it's about.
And so I guess my follow up goes right to you, Alan. We suck at fitness and health, but we're the very purveyors of health, but we suck at it. And sometimes in the back of the truck, I see all of us kind of nodding our heads where we've talked with a patient who's having some sort of major ailment. Well, sir, maybe you should eat less fried foods. Don't be like me, who had fried chicken for lunch and fried chicken with white gravy on it for breakfast. So talk to me, a little bit about that. Why do you think we suck in EMS for that?
Well, I think it's just that same age-old adage of doctors are the worst patients, lawyers are the worst, at doing sitting back and just letting somebody else, do that. So I think thinking we have it all under control because we're control freaks. Majority of us are alpha personalities, right? We're in control. We're used to being in control, making decisions, doing this. So when we have a second to decompress, to just do something quick, we're, like you said, like Caleb, we're in the truck the majority of the day. We're on the road. We're doing something. We're going. So we need something quick, and we're not thinking a week ahead of time of let's do this meal prep. Let's get everything, what I'm going to eat for lunch, what I'm going to eat for dinner. Because we're scheduled for 12 hours typically. How many hours do we usually actually really work? So we're there longer than when we're scheduled. So our diet's out of the way. Not to mention everything else that's just out of whack. So, you know what? I'm going to eat something that's good, that's control, and that's something I can control. I'm just going to keep on with my business. And then we just kind of think we forget about our health. We forget about the things that it's doing really to our body. Because if you stare at yourself in the mirror after you go to the gym for a day, are you gonna see any difference? No. You go to the gym for a couple weeks, couple months, are you gonna start seeing results? Yeah. So it's one of those things you have to start and hold yourself accountable. There you go. That's a big man. Yeah. But so it's just one of those that we're the worst because we just kind of put it on the back burner because we got focused on so many other things, whether it's our mental health, whether it's our family lives, whether they're in shambles or not, whether it's pointing all these things out in other people's lives that they're doing wrong. We're just so used to that, and we don't focus on ourselves. So one thing that I would like people to take from this is to be selfish just a little bit, but be selfish in a good way, in a healthy way. Of there's so many things that you can do that are bad for you. Why not do something that's good for you? Just pick one, whether it's starting out eating something good, or whether it's going to the gym once a week when you don't go, or going twice a week, and it doesn't have to be these crazy workouts like, oh, CrossFit's crazy. It could just be walking, walk your dogs, walk your kids, walk your cat, whatever it can be. Just get out, start a habit today and stay consistent with it. And you will see the results. 100% you will.
I think it goes a little to what you said. Something got my attention. It's the culture. We don't have that culture. You said something that I say a lot of times, and that is, paramedics aren't going to go to the doctor. So doctors make the worst patients. Well, paramedics aren't much better at that either. If we can't fix it ourselves, I don't know if we go looking for those things. So I think that's ironically, with the opioid pandemic and stuff, and we look at it and say, just, for the addicts, just stop, and they can't. This would be one of the things you look at EMS folks and say, and just start. And it's hard to do that, in that same aspect. It's not a part of the culture to do those things. It's not, there's actually a chapter. I usually preach on the things that are, not a chapter in Nancy Caroline 1-52, but, fitness and well-being actually is one of those chapters that's there. And I don't know that we really put a lot of attention to what we do. And maybe that's because we don't practice that. I could see you at Cape Fear probably saying, putting a little more emphasis in something like that, being a practicing it yourself. But it's certainly not something I feel probably the strongest about getting up there, because I feel like I look at myself as someone who looks in the mirror at least 4 or 5, 10 times a day. It's not something I feel like I'm going to go back and do that. And by the way, Keith does not do it either. So Terry, if you're looking for a friend to go to the gym with, it's not Keith. It's probably Mark. Mark, I see, is the guy.
No. That's Keith. Keith said that he wants to new year, new you. And so he's all about getting in the gym, got them grandbabies. I'm getting ready to have that grandbaby life. So Keith and I actually have more in common than we have with you. And so I was going to save that for an offline conversation, but
y'all are getting old. That's what it means. Y'all are getting old.
Yeah.
Well, how hard are you on it, Walter, where you're at? How hard do you push inside of the classroom? Seriously, I mean, I don't know that many people do.
I think it is a chapter that you go over in the book and you try to stress some good habits, but I think, and Alan, you made it 12 hours. Some of our shifts here are 24 hours. So, they're there, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then they're tired. They go home. When I got time to go to the gym, now I get off a day. Now I got to get ready for the next day and I go right back to work again. Is the gym open at nighttime? Is the gym open in the morning when I get off and go? So, we find excuses to say, I just don't have time. I think you did, you said a good thing is find something, whether it's walking, whether it's walking the dog, whether it's not eating at Bojangles today, whatever it is, and start that habit. And I think that's a good place to start instead of just saying, hey, John, go join CrossFit and start working out today, because John's going to be like, right, which is probably 50%, if not even more. I'm using 50% as a good number, 50% more of EMS people. But, maybe if we change that to say, and everybody's listening. So, Alan, good, making one change, one habit to be able to change in your life will help you out. And then you can add another change to add another change to be able to add another change.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. It's just one thing, and it's also like we talked about before of having that one person to kind of keep you accountable. Caleb mentioned that community. That's a big thing in CrossFit, but even just if you go to like a Globo gym, wherever it's at, it's the people you surround yourself with or the things that you're going to do. That's if you're Christian of any sort, it's the same thing. It's if you surround yourself with these kind of people, you're going to mimic their behavior and you're going to do the same thing. So that's why another reason all of us in EMS, we do the same stuff. We eat like crap. We sleep like crap. We have the same bad habits. So have that person that's going to keep you accountable, start adding to your community that you're going to build of, hey, let's go for a walk today. Let's go for a 30-minute walk, 10-minute walk, whatever it is.
And,
one of those,
Alan, I think it's a good thing. Sorry, John. Alan, I think it's a good thing. I went to the gym. I went to the gym by myself. I went to the gym because we have Planet Fitness 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So I went to the gym. I said, my New Year's resolution, I'm going to the gym. And, I stuck going to the gym for a while, but I was at the gym at 8 o'clock, 8:30 at night, because that's when I could find time to go. There was no one else at the gym, or there was a few people at the gym that I didn't know. So, and probably a different, occupation. Now, how am I going to carry on a conversation sometimes with those people? As you say, we get in EMS and we have those EMS people that we deal with. So it's not like, you got Caleb, hey, come on, let's go to the gym, or Terry, he lives 45 minutes away from me. Hey, I'll meet you at the gym. We just, it's much easier when you have that individual to be able to say that too. Hey, come on, let's meet me at the gym. And we've got our wives and our husbands and whoever else, but, they have, shut up, Terry. They have, and I'll use my example. My wife, we have a small kid at home. So where is she going to stay at while we go to the gym together? So one of us has to be here. So you don't have that, trying to find someone to say, hey, come on, let's go. Let's be your cheerleader. And, doing that is good. And so.
But that's another thing is if you're talking about changing culture and stuff, it's got to start somewhere.
It does.
You're going to move that. And I think that another thing that you got, I don't know how cool it is to be on one podcast and talk about another podcast, but you guys actually do a fitness podcast too. and we break the norm on a lot of different things, and so that might be one of those culture setting things. So why don't you take a couple of minutes of talking about your podcast, which talk about it. So if someone's one of the things EMS folks got to have is an interest in it. They got to be motivated by it. And this may be enough to at least drive some interest in some things, but your podcast probably is the place to go to and get the tea, and figure this stuff out. So if you don't mind, just taking a few minutes to talk about what's covered on your podcast and what it is and where they would find it and all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start and then I'll kind of let Caleb take the rest of it. But yeah, so our podcast is called Seacoast Shark Talks. Anywhere you can find it, just do a podcast. You can stream
Talk, Sherry.
Shark Talk.
Jesus, I can't even talk. Okay, break right there. Shark Talk, Terry. Shark Talk. Look at there. Go ahead. Sorry, Alan. I didn't mean to interrupt you for that shark.
You did.
No, you're good. So yeah, Seacoast Shark Talks. It's a podcast about perseverance and resiliency in the everyday athlete. So when we say everyday athlete, we mean literally everyday athlete. We have guests on our podcast from 20 something years old to right now our oldest is more in their late 40s, right? But we have people at our gym that are in their 60s. So it's literally everybody, and that's every fitness level that you can think of, whether it's a beginner athlete, whether it's someone like me and Caleb who've been doing it, and we have a little bit more of some of the advanced moves, if you will. But that's not the group that we're really talking to. We're talking to literally the majority, 80% of everybody out there that have a job, that have families, that have lives outside of fitness, that just come to the gym or come looking to do something just to better themselves. So it's one of the things that our podcast is big on because of our owner is first responders, military, veterans, things like that. So actually our next podcast that comes out the first part of February is going to be a coworker of mine who works for the police department down here. We worked together a little bit in the field, so we kind of got to reminisce a little bit. He got to tell his story from his military background, transition to police officer, but also CrossFit coach and athlete. But it's really about the everyday athlete showing grit and perseverance to get through whatever you're going through, whether it's some kind of personal thing. If you can work out and get through this tough workout and your body's just beat, but you're getting that last rep in, or you get that last couple minutes of running or walking or whatever it is, if you can teach your body to, yeah, I can do it. I can do one more. I think it's a Navy SEAL thing. What is it, 70% rule? If you can teach your body that you're not done, really, that's your mind telling you that. If you can get through that, then you can kind of just go from there. Then the world is just your oyster. You can just keep going. But Caleb?
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have this misconception of CrossFit. It's what you see on TV, and that's what people think it is. Well, CrossFit was initially created for the everyday athlete that we talk about, the people who go to work, who come home, want to create this healthy lifestyle or create a lifestyle for themselves. That in 20 years, at least for me, I can go and play outside with my kid, or I can throw a football and not have to worry about getting hurt with my friends at the beach. So that's really what we talk about. And also the mental aspect of CrossFit and how it gets you through your life. I know Alan attested to kind of the getting through maybe some challenges that you're facing. But for instance, we have some people on there telling their life stories of how they faced these challenges and it just got them through the day, or it got them to the next point where they could think about what was the next step. And I think that's big because a lot of people might not have something to go to when things get hard. So for us, it's the endorphins that we release while working out. And it's like, oh man, you put everything aside for that hour time frame, that 45-minute time frame, and your mind and how focused you are on what's in front of you, that translates to everyday life. It's like, if I can focus this much on this task, imagine what I can do when I get to work and I have to focus on this task. Or for you guys, when you're on the truck and something kind of just comes up, a call unexpected, of course, that you don't know about, and you have to face it. It's like, oh man, this is how I know I can get through this. So I think that's one of the biggest things. But overall, on our podcast, we do talk about fun, community, and CrossFit. We talk about how the community aspect is there, how it is fun to be healthy and have this healthy lifestyle and still enjoy your time. You can go out with your friends. You can have a good life balance, and still enjoy what you do. So definitely check us out on all platforms. And it is Seacoast Shark Talks. That's another story of how it came about, but it is pretty interesting, to say the least. And the owner, her first episode is amazing. If you have the chance just to listen to kind of everything that she's been through, it attests to truly what the podcast is about itself.
Well, that's cool. I think first question that I think I would say is that when you start a mentality like this, it doesn't necessarily have to happen in a gym, right? If the mentality part of it, you'd already spoke to nutrition or whatnot. What are some things one can do to work up to the gym level? Like, what would I do at home that would help? Because this seems like it's going to be very good for not only, physical health, but mental health as well.
Yeah, so I think I'll jump in here, Alan. I actually just had meniscus surgery myself. So I've been working on kind of rehab and getting back to the gym, so to speak. So that first week, 2 weeks when I was out, one thing that I'd done every day, I was not at a gym. I was not doing anything like that, but I focused on getting X amount of time in walking or stretching my leg X amount of times throughout the day. So I think setting those small goals. Let's go for a walk today. If you have a dog, take the dog for a walk. Or if you have a kid, let's take the kid for a walk outside, getting that fresh air. And I think that would be some of the small steps. But over time, it's like I added to the steps that I took, or I added to how many times a week I'd done that. So now my knee is kind of back in motion and used to that, where I didn't jump out there and try to do 500 air squats as soon as I had surgery. So.
Do y'all remember Fit Responder? Yeah, that was a big thing coming through for a while in North Carolina a few years ago. I think that guy untimely passed away. Do y'all remember what I'm talking about? Tennis ball guy?
Yeah, Mark doesn't, because Mark's too young, baby Mark. But yeah. And he did a pretty interesting thing in his death. It got bought and they transformed it into something that it's not. And there's some other company now that is essentially carrying on that legacy. But
that's the closest I can remember to getting, fitness really involved. And I want to say that Orange County, I think I did it when I was in Orange County. Seems like Person County had something to do, had it in there. So it's really central North Carolina, really driven. Walter, did you ever have any experience?
We had one up here. The guy came up here and did one with some of our EMS agencies up here.
it depended on and here's probably something, we always talk ahead of time, but it depended on your workman's comp claim rate. And some counties he spent more time at because their workman's comp claim rate was higher than in other places. And so even just that stretching and that everyday fitness, and where he would do some things about in and out of the truck or using the truck to stretch or pre-planning some stuff.
Well, so he started it, from what I can remember, Tanner, see if you can remember, but he started it and actually got some buy-in from the Association of County Commissioners, and they were sending him out to some areas. And then after he died, what happened to who bought it then? What was the group? Is it still with the Association of County Commissioners or someone else?
No, so it's somebody else. And because I still get mailers from time to time.
Okay.
And the new group at some private holding corporation that's kind of lost track of all of their of the roots for where they came from. So,
Alan, do you play with tennis balls?
If I got to roll out my back or something, that's about all I'm going to do with a tennis ball.
Well,
so
I mean,
trigger point. Yeah.
That's what they use. That's what they
what
told you.
did, yeah. So I mean, that was his point in that thing. So I feel the reason I even bring that program up is because it's not a foreign thing, and that was the most teeth that got stuck into EMS and fitness. And so that will to have a resurgence in that, it's going to take effort on lots of folks or whatnot. What are some things you would say that leaders of EMS could do to help get people? And I'll say that I'll ask that of Alan, being a program director, fellow program director. I'll say, what are some things that you would tell EMS leaders to do to help make this a part of their culture?
I think like exactly that. Just they've got to make it a part of their culture. So like I think you mentioned it. You were like, well, I don't really feel comfortable being that person in front, standing up in front of a classroom of new recruits to talk to them about health and fitness if I'm not the healthiest guy. But it still starts with that conversation, right? Get them thinking, that's because that's all we do when we're educating. We're getting them to think for themselves. Yeah, I can teach you all these monkey skills, sure. But I want you to think for yourself to be able to think on your feet to save somebody's life. I also want you to save your own life. Because heart attack, strokes, we know the stats. Everything is it's twice as high. That's one speech that I give to all my EMT classes at the beginning is suicide, substance abuse, all that stuff is just twice as high in public safety because of the things that we deal with. So, and then the fitness, heart attack, stroke, all that kind of stuff is the same. It's up there. So, starting the conversation and being comfortable, being uncomfortable, having those conversations of, hey, we got to think about your health. It's because we teach, who's the first one we talk about taking care of. And that starts, in the truck, sure, scene safety, all that jazz. But, when you go home, what do you do to take care of yourself? It doesn't stop when you clock out. So I think having those conversations with your students, but also the leadership classes that you guys put on, I don't know if you can have you guys wrote the curriculum on it essentially. So a fitness officer, something to that effect of have something that you can, parlay into something else that kind of just creates this culture of health for yourself and everybody around you.
Sounds like a partner.
That's what I was thinking. It's like somebody just watched a baby get made. Alan, so we've talked around it, and I know like when I teach EMT class or this last paramedic class that I was doing, the book for death notification, the book had about 2 columns on death notification, advertisement for Greensboro, where I talk about death notification, and in my history, have some very personal death notifications that I've had to do, that I've received, and did a lot of work with hospice, and so I learned death notification from a hospice standpoint, that whole patient. And so we didn't even talk about, okay, here's these columns and there's probably something on a test at some point, but let's talk about death notification. Am I hearing from you that's probably your version of death notification when you're standing in front of that EMT or paramedic class, which COAMPS doesn't want you to be doing because you're a program director, but when you're filling in for that class, is that your, for lack of a better term, that Jehovah's Witness of fitness of, hey, where the book's going to tell you one page of stuff to do? What are some things that you're telling your new students?
Well, that's definitely one of the things. It's personal health, wellness for sure. It's one of my main things actually starting out was mental health, first responders. Trained therapy dogs and put those kind of in trainings with the EMS. Took them to schools, nursing homes, things like that. And you can see how much those help. But then it kind of transitioned into fitness, and I'm doing, actually, shameless plug, teaching a self-defense thing at the EMS conference this year, pre-con. But so that's kind of what I'm talking about now, but I wouldn't be able to do that if I wasn't physically fit enough to get on the ground and roll with these students. And but yeah, you have to get out there. You have to have the conversations that are uncomfortable. Nobody wants to hear, well, a likelihood of being substance abuse or being domestic violence victim or the perpetrator or suicide, things like that. They don't want to hear it, but you have to have the conversation. You have to have the conversation about fitness. It's just as important as all of those other key terms.
Mark's microphone is broke.
Again.
Is
Or
it
he's
really?
just speechless because he doesn't know what to say.
Is it really? Can y'all hear me?
No, it's not. We can hear you just fine.
You've just been
Your mic-
quiet
your
the
mic-
entire time.
I don't even know why I waste time with you guys. I don't
This is
even
the
know why.
second episode. Second
Just remind
episode
you-
this season.
Mark and I are still guests. Just don't forget that Mark and I are still guests. This is the
Yeah, this is the John and Terry show.
correct.
Caleb, would
Tonight.
you say that Alan is your best friend?
Alan, don't fall for it. Caleb, don't fall for it. Don't fall for it. Don't.
I would
don't.
definitely say I talk to him every day for sure.
Yeah,
That's what a best
Yeah.
friend does.
they do. They talk daily. They talk daily.
Yeah,
Or at least
I've-
once a
I've-
week.
I did a little homework, so I know what y'all are doing. So I'm just not even going to talk.
Guys, good job. You took the
Smart man.
You took the smart move. Correct.
It's okay.
Caleb,
You know-
Caleb, you should have warned him when you talked to him today. You should have warned him.
My favorite girlfriend is future Super Bowl champion Taylor Swift. That is my female best friend.
And in Greensboro of 2025, John's going to be doing. He's going to be doing a presentation on leadership lessons learned from the greatest girlfriend of a football quarterback, Taylor Swift.
What? You
I
just
don't even know.
Don't go
I'm
together.
not paying to go to that. I'm not going to do it.
I may have just had a stroke if I was better physically, but I may not.
You need to work out, Terry. TIA's on while we're on here. TIA Terry. There he is. Put it in reverse. Put it in reverse, Terry. Put it in reverse.
Caleb, any final words that you would have to say? Hey, because I know down there at Seacoast, y'all do a lot with your first responder community. Follow a little bit of your social media where we were talking right earlier before we started taping. That what a small world it is, and I know like y'all do some stuff on September 11th and some other things, and so these people that are out there, not too different from you, but different than you, that shift work. Any final words of encouragement other than get a cool best friend who supports you in public, unlike Alan, who turned on you like a Judas, but whatever.
I would say just start small. Don't jump out here and with big expectations. Just start small, and you should see change over time. And then add some things along the way. But definitely find a community to help you, and you can start your journey. We'll be on the lookout to kind of see everybody's journey along this way. I love seeing people kind of progress over time, so it's pretty cool.
Well, I might send you a friend request right this minute so you can watch my journey. And I think it does have, before John does our outro, probably does have a good, like just in that conversation that we're having earlier, that Fit Responder started for some of us because of our workman's comp numbers. And as we continue to have issues with our workforce, because everybody has so many paramedics out there, we can obviously afford to have, we can't afford those life or career-ending injuries. And so making sure that we're taking care of our people. Culture boils down to culture. John?
I have decided I am not going to do an outro.
Okay.